Kolkata and the state of West Bengal. We are halfway through our Inside Kolkata campaign, and we are inviting today one of the best and brightest from the city. Arundhati Bhattacharya, chairman of SBI, joins us now. Mrs. Bhattacharya, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. What is the sense you have of Kolkata itself? It ranked a surprising, West Bengal ranked a surprising 10 in terms of ease of doing business in that ranking which came in. It suffered a lot in the 80s and in the 90s as a state where it was difficult to do business. Have things sorted themselves out?
I think, currently from whatever I have seen, the government seems to be quite focused on enabling ease of doing business. I was at a FICCI meeting about a month back in Kolkata, and the FICCI members were all talking about the various steps that the government is taking, and the finance minister of Bengal was also there on the platform, and he also talked about the kind of reforms that they were doing in order to ensure that business is better able to perform in that state. I think the state suffers really from a very negative perception on account of labor unrest more than anything else, and the militancy that is displayed by trade unions. So I think that is something that they need to really work on. As for myself, I have worked there, and I was narrating instances in State Bank of India where actually, the bunds and other things like that, disruptions didn't matter, and we were able to operate even throughout those instances. So it can be done, and I think the government currently is quite focused on trying to do the same.
Okay. Ms. Bhattacharya, morning. We were just speaking with the management of Texmaco Rail, and they told us that, the government is doing things like clearing land encroachments, and that's actually helping a lot of the railway projects as well. What have you observed in terms of what else the government in Kolkata or in West Bengal is doing in order to improve the ease of doing business?
Well, from personal experience, State Bank of India is building an academy. We have, as you know, several training academies across the country. We didn't have one in the east. So we are building one, and there was a little bit of a difficulty in getting supplies on account of some local issues. When we flagged it to the government, we got immediate action, and things are back on stream, and we are hoping that whatever has been the delay in construction, we'll be able to make it up. So definitely the government is much more hands-on. They are very easily approachable. We can bring our troubles to them. I was also told by the road ministry recently that some of the land encroachments that were required to be cleared for roads, that also has been done post-haste by the government, and in fact now they are after the road ministry as to why the bidding is not happening. So I think, there is definitely a lot of attention being given in order to kick up investments and the growth of business in the state. That's
nice to hear. Now let's shift to the central government, Mrs. Bhattacharya. A lot of hope was pinned on the road and rail projects taking off. And yet separately, when we speak to industrial heads all these months, we keep getting one theme, that payments are stuck, money is not flowing. Is there any relief at all? You yourself, in your very interesting tete-a-tete with the governor, indicated that large corporates and mid corporates, there seems to be more relief, but SMEs, their time has not come. Since then and now, over the past 1 month, have you seen this lubrication improve at all on the ground?
It's something that is incremental, and that will keep on happening. Once the large corporates and the mid corporates get paid, they will pay off their contractors and suppliers. Again, it's a question of time. I am very hopeful that this lessening of stress, this shortening of working capital cycles that we have seen in the larger corporates, that it will get slowly translated downwards. That's a natural progression, and I believe that is our experience on the ground as well. But as I mentioned about a month back, that these corporates, especially the smaller ones, the ones with credit limits of say 1 crore to 10 crore, they still are stressed, and I don't believe that we will see this stress going away for at least another 1 or 2 quarters. But by the end of this fiscal, I'm very sure, you know, things will be in a much better shape.
The RBI
this is really like a watershed year.
Okay, I hope so. The RBI was talking about the TREDS being set up, an exchange which will rediscount bills of smaller companies. Will that be an answer?
That would definitely be one of the answers. It is something that we have been pushing also, saying that this is something that is very important. It's important to bring in discipline. It's important for the larger corporates to commit that yes, they do have these goods and that they are going to pay. And actually here it is not only the private sector but also the PSUs, the public sector, the state government, the central government. All of it will become much more accountable once we can get a platform like this.
Okay. I wanted your views on the base rate situation as well. You know, when HDFC Bank came out with that 35 basis points cut, we all thought that there would be a big industry shift and there would be this sudden transmission of rates. But none of that really happened. I mean, I think only Canara Bank and Vijaya Bank so far have passed on the rates.
No, they are still less than her.
And they're still less than SBI. What do you think, you know, will be the way forward? And why is it taking so long for banks to sort of go ahead and cut rates?
Actually, what happens is when you cut rates, you're obviously taking a little bit of a pressure on the NIM. Because as you know, the deposits are our main resources. Our resources are 97% from deposits. And deposits are taken on a fixed rate, whereas when you make a base rate change, the asset book reprices the same day. So therefore, there is always a time lag. And in respect of Indian banks, most of the deposits are in the 1 to 3 year bucket. So it takes time for the deposits to reprice and enable the banks to pass it on to the borrowing community. The second thing is normally banks go ahead and still do this as long as they see good credit growth. Now that is something where banks have really got impacted because we have not seen the kind of credit growth that we had, say, 2 even 3 years back. And that is really the major reason. You know, it's a chicken and egg problem. Once the credit growth picks up, your rates will come down. Once the rates come down, the credit growth, there is more of an impetus. So we have to see, you know, even when we passed on 30 basis point, even at that stage I had said that I am front loading these because we want to spur credit growth. Because with the credit growth, the rate at which it is happening and the fact that your expenses will go up to some extent, it is very difficult to balance your books. Given also the fact that your provisioning requirements are still very high. Whatever forbearance was given, that has been taken away. So you will obviously have to provide for any restructuring. And again, the stress has not all gone away and it is still there in the smaller accounts. So there will be restructuring and here you will have to provide more. Secondly, the book that is already slipped, there again the provisioning requirements will be high because within 3 years, you have to provide 100% of what is slipped. So to that extent, provisioning requirements still remain high in the banking system. And that actually is the reason why we are not seeing the kind of transmission that we would have loved to see. One is the lack of the credit growth and the second is the need for provisioning. The third thing that is also there is that there has not been much transmission in the money markets either.
Yes.
In fact, I was looking at the rates, the money market, the GSEC yields, when the repo was at 8. At that point of time, the GSEC was actually minus 15. It was around 7.86. Today, when the repo has come down to 7.25, your money market GSEC is still at 7.75.
Fair point.
So basically, your GSEC also, the yields have not come off. So, you know, these are various reasons why we are seeing slower transmission. But having said that, I believe transmission will happen. We just have to be a little patient.
Okay, how patient, ma'am? Should we see it before 2015 is out that we will see a substantial... No, I mean, the point is inflation numbers are lower. So inflation expectations from depositors should be more manageable. Some giant deposit rate cuts and thereafter base rate cuts. Should we expect 50 basis before 2015 is out or the fisc is out?
It's very difficult for me to give you the right numbers. Let me only tell you that we'll pass on as much as we possibly can. We do believe that, you know, the credit pickup will start improving. I believe that it has started improving slightly already. And therefore, you know, as this credit pickup that takes on some amount of pace, we will definitely see this transmission happening. But to try and commit to an exact number is difficult for me. It is dependent on so many things, on the yields coming off, as I told you, on the credit pace of credit growth picking up. So all of these will actually help us. As you know, there are several moving pieces in this. The moment the credit pickup takes off, you'll also see that the stress will come down. Now, when the stress comes down, your provisioning requirements also come down. So, you know, it's all part of one puzzle, and therefore, we have to wait for all the pieces to fall into place for these things to happen.
Okay, well, we run out of time on the show, ma'am, but just wanted to ask you, since you have studied in Kolkata and you were born in that city, and we're heading to Kolkata at the end of this week for our investor camp, what would be the top 2 or 3 things that I can do there, or the top 2 or 3 restaurants that are your favorite that one should visit?
Sure, one of the top things you must do is to pick up saris. Calcutta has lots and lots of these little home boutiques, and they come up with beautiful saris at 1/4 of the price that you will get anywhere else, and they are all individual pieces, so you must do that. Okay. The second thing, of course, is if you want to eat, you must eat at restaurants like Mocambo on Park Street. In fact, I do that every time I go, the most reasonably priced and the best tasting food that you can get anywhere. Of course, the rolls of Calcutta are also very good. At one point of time, when we used to feel very frustrated about Calcutta, we used to say that's the best export item that Calcutta can come up with. The Calcutta rolls are very good. They're bakery items, especially cookie jar. You must try it out. It's really, really good.
Okay, I'm going to go for all the restaurants.
There are lots of places to see, so please do go and enjoy.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the restaurants, but I wish you had told us about the saris earlier. Lata just went to Calcutta a couple of days ago. She would have benefited from that.
No, Mrs. Bhattacharya, you're going to get a very different kind of sets of SMSs from your viewers now, especially from the two of us over here. Thank you very much for enlightening and livening up our Inside Kolkata campaign. Pleasure speaking with you, ma'am, as always. Well, that was a Kolkatan and an industry heavyweight giving you two sets of very good things to hear about the things you can do in Kolkata and about the fact that probably credit growth is picking up and probably stress and the liquidity in the system is easing up.
I can pick up some saris for you since you've already been there.
Yes, we have to take it offline. The markets at this point in time a little worrisome as far as the mid-caps are concerned. People are